Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show, coming to you in HD 1080p. Absolutely every week on a Monday. Join us at 8 p.m. To go through all of the rugby, all the Super Rugby stuff, and plus more from the weekend. And it was the perfect round because you know what? It's all about me, and I got all my picks right. So that's why it's perfect. Nothing to do with the standard of play or anything like that, but just because I got all my picks right. How did you go, Cornflake?
The Highlanders played the perfect game, which is why I think it should be called the perfect round as well. I think could have you pinpointed more accurately how many points you need to score throughout 80 minutes? I think they have nailed it completely. I got more than 3 right, so that's good. And hey, I'm still kicking it near the top of the table, so I can't complain, man. I can't.
You got
complain.
more than 3. So you got 4 right out of 6. Okay,
Yep.
that's more than 3.
Hey, I wasn't lying. I got more than 3 and less than 5. So yes. God damn you, Crusaders. Yeah. How could you?
Dear me. So good evening to Simon, who's joined us on the old YouTube. You can join us on YouTube or Facebook, or you can also watch on Twitter, but you can't comment on Twitter because, or the X, whatever that's called, because it's a crap platform, basically. And also, don't forget, you can listen to us as a podcast as well. Just search for New Zealand Sport Radio for all of that kind of stuff. And Nocturnal Rights as well there on the old YouTubes as well. Good to see you. Have you joining us as well? I'll be honest, I've not actually looked at any news this weekend from our own point of view, because normally I try and have a quick old look and see what might be there. The concussion.
Australian rugby's lost a shitload of money. Does that count as news, or is that just like fact now? And they tried to overthrow the board. They tried to overthrow the board and it failed. I read a headline and I was like, do I care? And I said no, and I went off.
It's off the pitch stuff. So that's my area, not your area, and therefore
that's why I didn't even read it. I was just like, nah, Australia lose money. Nah, they're bored of dickheads. Nah. When's the game start?
Tarangi Walden has had to retire because of concussion. Sad to hear that. Sorry about that. His calling time on his career. Really good super player, and also played for the Maori All Blacks as well. So shame to hear that he's not able to retire on his own terms, but we wish him the best in post retirement on that one.
How many weeks till he's in the sky?
Oh, is he matey enough with them? That's all. That's the problem. He's got to be matey enough to do that. With that one. Anything else? I don't think there's anything else that I've apart from basically the stuff from the actual games, which we'll get onto in a moment. Having just quick glance through. I've not said of anything else from that. I was listening to a podcast, the Aotearoa Rugby show, and apparently Aaron Cruden got a phone call from the Crusaders saying, "Hey, any chance you can come down and play for us, please?" At 10 a few weeks back. Clearly now that Rivers Rahana's back, but he said no, he's putting family first, which is why he turned that one down. Which, considering some of the rumours around his off-pitch activities, then interesting that he's putting family first. But great to hear.
He's putting his Sky career first, isn't he? Come on.
There's an element of that as well.
He needs to work on it, though. Let's be fair. I mean, he needs the time. That's for sure. He's not that great, but no, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, if you were the Crusaders, wouldn't have you done the same? Like, you scanning around and saying like, who's free, who's available? Yeah, it's going to be a 1-year deal max, isn't it? So there's a few teams floating around. I'm surprised they didn't pick someone up of an older, decent sort of name. But hey,
I mean, not even a 1-year deal. It would have been.
No.
It would have been a couple of months.
I mean, max.
Which I'm a bit surprised in some ways he didn't go, you know what? Actually, this is my last chance of rolling the dice. But as you say, probably, his burgeoning Sky career obviously would have clashed, or TV career would have clashed with that. So maybe that was also a big part of it as well.
Is it the fact that he's such a committed Chiefs man that he just couldn't put the rivalry aside and say, you know what, I just can't put 5 or 6 games for the Crusaders on my resume. I'm a Chiefs man through and through. I just can't do it.
Nope, he didn't say that at all on the show. Didn't even mention the fact that it would be playing for another franchise or another club, what you want to call them. So no, he didn't use that excuse at all, or that reason. He said the pure reason was the only reason he came up with was family. But I think part of the TV piece might have also been the kind of easy money there is from turning up and having a chat on the sidelines about stuff. So yes, on that one. There.
Want some more news? Here's some, since we're going with old players getting a last chance saloon. Apparently Dane Coles was offered a return for injury cover from the injury to Almua, with so far no luck because he's just recently got injured this weekend himself. So they put out SOS call to him, and then when he got injured. So clearly he doesn't want to come back to Super Rugby either. He's loving it in Japan. So.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Why would you? I mean, the at the end of the day, the money over there. Yes, there's lots of training. Yes, it's high octane, but your chances of injuring yourself a bit less as well. It's not as impactful as that. So yes, it is an interesting one. And the reviewer, which 4 teams do you think will miss the quarterfinals? So I guess that's the sort of question we should answer after we go through the games. But one thing I will say is, looking at the table, you've basically got a top 4, and then pretty much everybody else. So you've got your Hurricanes, Blues, Brumbies, and Chiefs at the top. Now look, the Rebels are going well, but look, they've just been nilled this weekend, and they're in 5th. So basically, and they've been nilled by the people who were 12th at the time, right? So basically, the next crowd from 5th down to 12th, any of them could beat any team on their given day. And so how that's going to shake out between those, clearly. Your force with the 2 games and inability to win away is a problem for them. So I think I'll definitely put them down as one of the 4. But after that, it's pretty much guesswork as to how it's going to pan out for those. You'd probably put Moana Pacifica in there as well, even though they're having their best season ever. I know that sounds crazy about all the negativity around the Moana Pacifica and they should merge with the Rebels, or they should be thrown out of rugby. They're not good enough. Super Rugby, this is their best ever season, folks. They've won as many games this year as they have in the past 2 seasons put together. And people are being negative about them. Oh, my God, they're going forwards, for crying out loud. The fact they haven't got their own stadium, though, is a problem. Off the pitch, I think they deserve criticism. On the pitch, they're actually making steps forward. So I think those 2 would probably be kind of in there. And then you're like, well, out of the rest of the other 6, it's a bit of a coin flip, really. How do you see it?
Oh, it's too early to tell. It's too early. If I'm gonna dump someone in, look, I think the Western Force are going to struggle to get anywhere. I think the Waratahs have as good a chance as any of those other 7th place down to make that top 8 places. As now, possibly. You look at the Crusaders and say the same, considering one big win for the Crusaders could prop them all the way up to potentially into 7th, right? They're only 5 points behind the Drua. So for me, Waratahs, Crusaders a chance. Force, I pretty much would chop them and say, yep, they can banana skin someone. But, if they come out of the season with 3 or 4 wins, that would be incredible. I think the teams that are in danger are those ones in 7, 8, and 9, really. They're the ones that are they've got to be the ones putting pressure on to keep their spots. And we've got some big games coming between those teams in the next few rounds as well that are going to become almost like 8, 9, 10 pointers and essentially denying a rival 4 or 5 points, whereas picking up 4 or 5 points yourself could be huge in the overall finishing of this. So I'm talking, Highlanders, Drua, and Moana. But Moana look like they're up against it. The Highlanders look like they're up against it, let's be honest. I wouldn't lock in anyone down there except for probably the Western Force right now, and I wouldn't lock anyone below 6th into those last 2 spots either. Yeah,
now to be fair, I only locked in the top 4. I didn't lock in the Rebels and Reds. I think quality-wise, I don't think they're that much better than the other teams. But I think you're right that they've actually got the points on the board. So there's a clear gap. So between the Reds, so the Drua are on 17 points. And then there's a 6-point gap to the Reds. So, as I say, I don't think the Rebels and Reds are that much better than the teams below them, but they've got the points on the board. So you're probably right actually that those two should be in the top 8 as well. So yeah, so your choice between the Drua, Landers, Pacifica, Crusaders, and Waratahs really for those last 3 places. The Drua, it's going to come down to who their home games are. I've not really kind of checked those out yet, because let's be honest, away games when they're up against the Brumbies this weekend, we've got to travel all the way to Perth as well. Those are 2 games that they're going to struggle with just purely for the travel side of things. So it's going to be that's going to come down to their home games, and then the rest of them it's just we'll just have to wait and see. I don't see there's much difference between them in that crowd.
There's only 4 rounds remaining. Add that to your equation as well. I didn't realize it was that far through, but yeah, we're into round 12 this weekend. So 4 rounds to go. So,
round 11 this weekend.
No, this one coming up.
It's 11, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So we've got 5 rounds.
So I went too far. 5 rounds to go. Maximum pointing is 25 points.
Is there anything official about the Rebels being rescued by the White Knight? No, there isn't. And I read something somewhere that basically I think people this side of the ditch in officialdom think that the Rebels are gone and that it'll be a league of 11 teams next year. So we'll see what happens there. Might be sad. I think Australia needs for it to be a national competition. Australia, they need to be not just in basically on the West Coast plus the Force. I think that Rebels team is important to be a national competition over there. I know it's kind of like, it's only they haven't got enough players for 5 teams, yada yada yada. Really? Because the Waratahs beat the Crusaders twice this year already. The Force beat the Crusaders at home, right? The Rebels are sat in 5th place. I think they've got enough players. Do they need to hold on to their players a bit better, sort out their finances? Absolutely. But look, they're producing enough talent. It just most of it goes overseas. Is really the problem with that one. But not talking about, so it sounds like the IRA decide that what Rebels are quashed. Yeah, unless a Twiggy comes in and saves them, basically. I don't think one of these conglomerates or one of these kind of groups of people who all put little bits of money in, you kind of like, really, what are you doing different than has been done before? Because there was all that fanfare, all that publicity around that group in Western Melbourne, I think it was. Say, oh yeah, look, it'll be totally different. You're like, really? Because it sounds exactly like the same setup as before, just in a smaller stadium, which is no, look, don't be wrong, the right idea. It's a good step in the right direction, but it's not groundbreakingly different than any other ones on that one to me.
I'll put $10 in if you want.
I'll put my YouTube earnings in.
So okay, it won't be $10 in. It'll be about 3 cents. I'll put my 3 cents in instead. Now give me just that gives me a chair at a board meeting once a year. I'll be good with that.
So yes, it's unfortunately things are looking on the downside for the Rebels. I mean, what is it about some Australian teams that the year they're getting rid of is one of the best years they ever have? I mean, the Force had a blinder the year they got knocked out, if you from memory. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember where they finished, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty much, I remember it being a really good year for them.
It's one of the years they discovered that teams don't actually like traveling to all the way over in Perth. It's like, oh crap, teams are actually tired. We should take advantage of that. Right. No crap, Harry. Good job. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, it's like until they're gone, I don't believe they're gone. Right? So as long as they still exist now, you just don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You just don't know. I mean, especially lowly peasants like us, and even these hotshot guys that think they're all this in a bag of chips and high up places in New Zealand rugby, they got no idea. Don't tell me they think they know anything. They don't know crap. They probably know a little bit more than us. That's probably just like what they had for lunch or something like that. There'll be so much going on, I bet you, behind closed doors that you couldn't even dream to think about trying to save that franchise. I bet you. And until they're gone, I always believe there's a chance they'll be kept.
I love Charles. The Southern Kings had 6 wins the year they got axed, finished 11 out of 18.
Great team. Marcus Orlama-Pimpy. He is the GOAT. Put a crown on his head.
Absolutely. Maybe, but the Southern Kings weren't a basket case from start to finish off the field. Just how they ever managed to get, how the players ever managed to concentrate on playing when they weren't sure they're going to get paid and all the crap that's going on. I take my hat off to the players because boy, oh boy, it was just a nightmare. Anyway,
look at
2017 was when when there was the last season for the Force. They won 6 games, lost 9, finished 12th that year. So yeah, look, a decent finish. Now, some chat in the chat talking about having an Anzac Day test. No, absolutely not. Sorry, but we're in the middle of Super Rugby season. If you look at what happens when you mix up your domestic season and international rugby, look at how it goes in Europe. Okay, look at how the British League, how it goes in the UK, how it goes in France. It's a nightmare. It's a disaster. Don't do it. Don't start putting test matches in the middle of the domestic season. But should they have Super Rugby games on that day? Absolutely, yes. Should they have Super Rugby games on Friday and Monday of Easter weekend? Yes. What are you doing? You've got a long weekend. So using those days up. Don't just stick with the same days of 2 games on Friday, 4 games on Saturday. Take note of what else is happening in the world. You don't live in a bubble. Super Rugby. God, joke. Absolute joke.
They do live in a bubble. We know this. We've been watching this crap long enough to know they live in a little bubble all by themselves, and they completely ignore anything and everything. I do agree with you about like that long weekend. That was a disaster, right? That was an utter disaster. All your games jammed into 2 days, and everyone's got like a 4-day weekend. It's like down here it was a 5-day weekend because they shove Anniversary Day in there as well. It's just like it's so dumb, so dumb. Hey, why don't we have a just like a New Zealand Super Rugby's finest versus Australia's Super Rugby finest, selected by fans.
All-Star Weekend!
Yes! Yes, and then it's a chance for players like Harry Plummer to finally get it something they deserve. Because most people are Aucklanders. And they'll be like, my team's the best. I think we should do that. Yep. There'll be no Highlanders. There'll be a couple of Crusaders. There'll all be Wellington and Auckland-based players. That's it. Versus Brumbies and Reds, because surely Melbourne don't give a shit about rugby. So it'll all be, Brumbies and Reds. That'll be great. And, you're only allowed 6 players who have played test matches. Oh, it's a great idea. Get me on a board.
All-Stars, messy concept from North American sports. Look, All-Stars kind of works in something like basketball, and I think it works. It can work in baseball, whereas so effectively it's not a contact sport. It doesn't. They've shown it doesn't work in NFL because, and hence they've had to do these kind of all-star kind of competition kind of things, which are a bit of a joke really, because they've realised actually professional players don't want to bash themselves up over a Mickey Mouse game. So yes, all-star for a collision sport or contact sport like rugby is not a good idea. Even having said that, I'll totally go and go against that by saying, isn't that effectively what the Barbarians are? Basically taking an all-star team, but that has history behind it. If you try to set something up new like the Barbarians, everyone would go, what the bloody hell are you doing? Actually, I'd use much worse words than that, but I thought, you know what, I'll try and be nice in case someone's listening to us on the radio in their car or in their cars are driving the kids to school. So yes, that doesn't. What ideas actually do work in Super Rugby other than the draw at home? Very good question. Look, I think Moana Pacifica has worked for helping out Samoa and Tonga international teams, but as a Super Rugby thing, no. It hasn't. As so far, I was having a quick look through this because I thought I mentioned this as part of the picking at the end of it. Was that the Moana Pacifica have not played 2 home games in the same stadium this year. That is a farce. So far, they've played in FMG Stadium in Hamilton, They've played at Eden Park to play the Blues in an away game for the Blues. They played up in Whangarei, and this coming weekend they're going to be playing in Tonga. And they also had a home game in as part of the Super Round in Melbourne. So far they've not managed to get 2 games in the same stadium this season. Actually, no, they might have had an away game against the Rebels, in which case they might have had 2 games in Melbourne. That would be the only time they've ever had. They've actually managed to get 2 games in the same stadium, which when it's not your home, it's not even in your same country as where you're supposed to be representing or from, shows you that that's a total farce.
We can do the voting. I did notice that Simon saying about the voting in the NBA. They've actually gone back to, they've gone away from the players selecting it. That was look, players being captain and selecting in the NBA was a disaster idea. They've gone back to East v West, and they've split the voting up, which we can do in rugby, right? It's 50% fan votes, right? That's your votes. 25% media and 25% players. That's how you get the players selected in the NBA All-Star game. You're right. It was done like that. Literally, it was like LeBron and Giannis going, "Oh, I want to play with my brother," which is just dicky, completely killed it. But now we can copy that. We can copy that. Fan base votes 50%, baby. I'll see you in there. I'll see representation for Sam Gilbert. It was the last thing I do.
Yep. So actually, yes, Moana Pacific will get their last 2 games at Mount Smart, which is their home ground. Why they moved there from there in the first place, I don't know.
Go back to Tonga.
Either, yeah. I mean, I've got no problems with them having them all in Tonga or all in Samoa or splitting between those 2 as well. But just look, choose a stadium, build a fan base somewhere. Why the hell should Tongan people turn up and watch this team? This is a team that's been put together in New Zealand by a whole bunch of Kiwis. I don't think there's sure they might have Tongan heritage, but they're based here in New Zealand. Or they might have Samoan heritage as well. But basically they live here. They live in New Zealand. They're not living in the islands. They're not from the islands, or they're not in the islands now. Sorry, they might be from the islands originally back 70 years ago when Sir Michael Jones might have. I'm not sure where he was born, or Brian Williams. I mean, that's the kind of time we're talking about here. That these guys will have left their home countries in the same sort of before I was born, probably, or about when I was born, and I'm 50 in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, that connection there is why you turn up just purely because of the spectacle of would they never get professional rugby in the islands. I mean, they'll get maybe one test between Tonga and Samoa, and maybe one test between Tonga and Fiji. At most, they'll get 2 games a year of professional rugby there. So otherwise, that's why you would turn up. Northern Rights family links are big in the island. Should be a big ground. I really hope it is. I really do. If we can get something like the Fijian Drua, that would be a massive thing to say, look, stop trying to have this team in New Zealand and actually put it in the islands. The thing is, there's a big difference, and I only figured this out when I came here. And as so anyone who's watching from the UK or from or Europe or North America won't kind of get this, but the number of immigrant Fijians and immigrant Samoans and Tongans into New Zealand is much higher than it is of Fijians, partially because of the New Zealand and Fiji's politically New Zealand hasn't always agreed with the military rulers in or the military governments in Fiji, and so they've restricted the number of people who can come over here. There hasn't been the same influx of people. So you'll see if you look at the national Fijian side, a lot more of their players have been born in Fiji or the Fiji Islands. Whereas if you look at the sides that have represented Samoa and Tonga for the past 5-6 World Cups, you'll actually notice that about half or a large number of them have actually been born in New Zealand and come up in New Zealand. So so there is there is a big difference there between those three different island nations and their connection to New Zealand, and also their player connection, in a rugby playing point of view.
Just take the Stars over there. Just who cares? Who cares where they're from? Tongans are going to turn up. You take a whole bunch of superstars. You take Bowden Barrett over to Tonga. They're going to go watch them. You take Finney
Oh,
Christie
yeah.
over there, they won't go watch him. Who cares? Who cares? Sure, like have links. I do agree, like family links, like Nocturnal says, have links back somehow to Tonga. Tongan representatives, like the international representatives, I don't think they really give a toss if they're born in Tonga. If you've got a majority of that team, even Samoan, Tongan representative as an internationally past, present, future, guys that are committed to those nations, that's good enough, right? That's good enough. I mean, and cool. Get some high profile names as well, right? Get some of those high profile guys, and they'll go. They love the rugby. Literally, you could take some club team from like South Wellington, and they'll probably go watch that anyway. Really, that's the difference over there, though. They love the sport because the professionalism idea hasn't really, like, they know, right? But it's not. They still live like it's back, amateur days where it's just fun, right? They've still got that fun of sport, which everyone else has kind of gone money, right? That's what's good about the islands. They still have that love of the game.
Anyway, let's move on and actually talk about some games, shall we? From the weekend.
Can we do it from Tonga?
Well, I'd love to do it from Tonga. Absolutely.
Yeah,
if someone pay for us to fly to Tonga, I would go for it. Absolutely.
We'll do the show like Oscar Knightley did the World Cup show for the Pacific Islands. Did you see that? Now I'll be up for that. Yeah, to watch it.
Anyway,
right by the bar.
Crusaders versus Melbourne Rebels kicks us off. Now the Crusaders off the back of yay, they'd beaten the Chiefs. Their season was on track. They had a week off, lost to the Tars, lost to the Force. It came back and everyone's like, "Oh my God, what's going on? This really is this reality?" The Rebels turning up, flying high in the tournament. Everyone going, "Well, would they exist this year? God, they're going to struggle this year because of all the off-field issues." Having a fantastic year, turn up to the to Christchurch, and we hit a time warp and we go back 2 years, where the Crusaders suddenly play well. The Rebels are an absolute mess in this game. If you go and watch the highlights, and basically the only highlight of the game, I think, is the Rebels missing a kick at goal or something. It's the only time you actually see the Rebels actually have the ball. This was and they didn't even get a kick. They didn't even get a kick at goal. Jeez, that's a play where they basically just fumble it. But the players coming back, such as Barrett, Leo Willie, as good. The Rebels scrum, they've lost 5 out of 11 of their scrums. They lost. Their scrum was awful. The line-out didn't function either. You're not getting a platform. You've got a rampant side. If anything, the Crusaders should have been up more than 10-0 at halftime with the stats they had, and with the ball they had. So if anything, this game is this scoreline is lower than it should have been. But for some reason, the Rebels just had a nightmare, and this is exactly what the Crusaders needed. They needed 5 points, and they needed and they also needed the kind of the morale boost.
And they needed their home fans to see a victory. How good for them! Woo!
Both their wins have been at home now.
Look, they're almost like the driller. Oh, if you go to Canterbury, you ain't going to come out with a win. Oh no! Look. One of the few things I wrote down about any matches this weekend was that in this game, there was one thing. Ultimately, I think that destroyed the Rebels, and you already mentioned it was a scrum. I mean, the Rebels have got this tactic, and they've done it through most of the season, where they've left their good front row, mainly Taliana Tupou, but also Ulysses come off the bench a lot of the time as well, on the bench to make that late impact. And it's like, oh no, the other team's going to be scared and they're going to have their weaker props on in the later part of the game. Well, didn't that backfire? Holy hell. Look, I have not seen a scrum by any team. England, South Africa, New Zealand, no matter how high level you go, that has dominated a game that much, like that Crusaders starting scrum did. George Bauer featured in all. Look, we talked about the All Blacks
2007 Rugby World Cup semi-final, England versus Australia. But anyway, we won't talk about that.
No, I mean, it's not scorched in my memory, so it can't have clearly been that impressive. But look, we talked about the All Blacks last week, And, we ummed and ahed on a few of these guys, but good God, they actually destroyed them. Like, that was scrummaging. Like, we've talked a lot this year about lineouts. Oh, the lineout is taking over the set piece to win. The Crusaders just showed us that if you've got a good scrum, you can still do it with the old scrum as well. So they just, look, you make an error and you pack down a scrum and you get the ball back. It's going to do you well, isn't it? Because you're going to get a penalty. So, hey, you make a mistake, well, you get a penalty. So they were loving life. They were cruising along, and I agree with you. Yeah, they should have been way up more than 10-0 at halftime. It should have been 39-0 at halftime, really. They were just destroying that much. But something I have seen a lot of comments about is, Riley Hoheber got the chop from the 10 jersey. They started Rehana, and look at the difference. Honestly, yes, a little way, but I think that's a little bit coincidental in the same respect as well. I think Hoheber did about as good as he could, but geez, you can't pin that whole thing down on one player pivotally changing like that. But for me, the pack, incredible. Players coming back. Scott Barrett. Oh, yeah. How are we not talking about Scott Barrett? Gee, that guy, he is one player that can change a team. His leadership, his presence, and just his ability to lead change that whole pack sort of mentality and their focus. He is not only critical for the Crusaders, he is going to be critical for the All Blacks as well. Seeing that change that he made in that team, just players having someone to look to and to be so decisive in his calls. Yeah, sure. He made some dodgy ones as captain, not taking threes or, going to the corner, maybe vice versa, whatever. But in terms of just, this is how we're doing it, let's go. That experience made such a big difference. And it's kind of, when you see a few of those names that have been around a few years already, man, some guys just have that born leadership, don't they? And Scott Barrett, he is certainly one of those guys.
Yeah, him. I think also Blackadder had a decent game as well. This is what a lot of All Blacks fans are looking forward to. I wanted to see. Now, clearly, look, when you're going that far, when you get now game line ball and you get now to go forward, it's easier to look good. But even so, I think he had a decent game. So, things just fell apart for the Rebels. Do I think that this is a sign of how they'll go from now on? No, I don't think so. I think it's just they had a bad night at the office. They'll go away. They'll go, look, that isn't us. We can do better. We are better than this, and they will be better from in the following week. So this is a bit like the other weekend. Again, listening to some podcasts and stuff as to when the Brumbies got beaten by the Blues. Because obviously, sorry, we didn't talk about rugby last weekend. We did last week. Sorry, we did so we missed those games out. But there was a whole bunch of backlash of kind of like, oh, these Australian sides aren't very good, and it's an unfair competition because of derby games. Australian sides get to play each other, get easier draws and stuff. It's like, yeah, next weekend the Brumbies beat the only unbeaten team, the Hurricanes, at home, right? Yeah, it's a one-off game. They will have your teams will have good and bad games and have good nights and bad nights. But that Brumbies team is a good team for whatever anyone else is saying. So yeah, that was a bunch of bullshit that was. But that's another one. This game again is not one of those where people go, oh look, these Australian sides are so crap. The Rebels are sat fifth in the table. They've had a good. They're having a good season. They just had a bad night on this one. Also there were. Stephen's talking about the scrum as well. The other thing that was on here, 11 scrums. That's a lot of 22 scrums, 11 scrums each. 22 scrums is a lot of scrums in a game nowadays. So yes, they dominated the scrum, but also they've got the opportunity to because of errors. When we go through the other games, I'm pretty sure. I've not looked ahead, but the Waratahs only had 6 scrums in the game. There were 17 scrums in that game. Drew against Moana, they had 20. So actually, they're not exactly known as being handling teams. There were only 13 scrums so 9 less scrums in the in the Brumbies versus Hurricanes game in this game. So there were a lot of scrums in this game. I say 11 each. So both sides handling wasn't great from that point of view.
But if you've got such a dominant scrum like that, you're calling scrums. The Crusaders called scrums over other options, over shots at goal, over kicks to the corner if they were in attacking areas. It was that dominant, right? If you force your opposition to make a full front row change after 30 minutes, I mean, and you look at it and go, they should have done that sooner. That it was just so clear cut. It was just so incredibly clear cut, and it made a difference. So let's be honest, those 3 changes in the front row made a massive difference. Like the Crusaders scrum just like stopped, as in the Rebels could hold their own ball. They weren't going backwards at a stack of pace. It made a huge difference for them. So I just think the Rebels have come in with a bit of a risky plan that they've tried before. It's really backfired here. They've finally come up against 2 props that have had the ability to wreck them, and that's made a massive difference for them. But the Rebels, it's hard to say they really played badly. They got shut out that first half because of their scrum, and the second half, it's kind of like they lost all their confidence, and you saw it going that first half when they were losing all that ground because they weren't making errors. The Crusaders were making errors and then demolishing the scrum and getting a penalty. So, you force the opposition into a mistake and then you go 40 meters down the field conceding a penalty. It's harsh, man. That is truly, truly rough on a team, especially a backline who, hey, I've done my job. I've defended them. I've tackled them. I've forced them into an error. And now here I am defending, in my 22. So, confidence would have got a big, big hit from the Rebels. And they just, sad. And like we've talked about before, games like this, when you're down 17, 20, whatever, nil, you don't take the 3s, right? You look for the 7s. And hey, the Rebels could have chipped over 15, 18 points worth of 3s throughout this game if they took them. But they're always chasing that 7, try and force their way back into the game. And that's the difference when you're chasing a game like this. You just didn't have the chance throughout. So a good game plan from the Crusaders, and they attacked and they nailed their attacking point. So you've got to give them a bit of credit for that because, hey, we're really quick to put the hammer on this Crusaders team when they're not what we expect.
Yeah, but I will agree with Stephen Harris because talking about the Crusaders, they still have a way to go. Attack by the last try looked clunky. Absolutely, Stephen and Corplay and I have said it initially. This should have been a 50-60 game point game for the Crusaders. They only scored 38. It shows that they should have executed better. Moving on then, Tars versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs tried to lose this game in the first 20 minutes, basically. Nice Toro, high tackle, got a yellow. Look, he was upright, head on head. I'm not. This could so easily be upgraded to a red. I'm not sure what the mitigation or whatever it was that downgraded it. Yes, it wasn't with force. I guess it's probably about the only thing that saved him. That could easily have been a yellow because he did nothing to correct at all. He went in too upright. And caused the risk to do that. Multiple penalties. Then we saw Topu Vai go straight off. Literally, he went off as, and that allowed Nana Satori to walk on. So a solid 20 minutes early in this game, where the Chiefs were down one man, and the Waratahs only got 2 tries to get themselves 12-0 up. And that's. Maybe they should have. Maybe the problem was they didn't take enough advantage of those yellows, and that was a problem for them.
For sure. I mean, the Waratahs. This is where it's kind of frustrating to watch a team like this, like the Waratahs, right? When they have those opportunities, and they got the players, they had the chances, they had all that they really needed in a recipe to do well in this game, but just. I don't know what it is about the Waratahs. I do agree with the comment there that they're very exciting to watch and they bring a good game. But it's kind of like they're 3/4 of the way through what they're trying to do before they're really getting to the stage that they're actually going to be doing something. They always seem to be thinking ahead of what they're actually achieving and not fully going through with their plan that they've got. But look, they are a good side. And I think given the scoreline on this one, I think Chiefs teams have definitely caught up with the Chiefs, I reckon, throughout the season. They've tactically, I think they've got them not down pat, but they have certainly found ways they can shut them down from the earlier rounds of this competition. So it's just about executing that properly. And I think the Australian teams are getting a hold of a bit of that than they have in the earlier stages of this competition. But yeah, a couple of yellow cards. I mean, Nana Satori is only a tiny little guy, so maybe they thought that he's not big enough to make a heavy impact to cause anyone damage, right? It's very like, he's just a little guy, leave him alone. he's hardly tall enough to get up to that height anyway. So let's credit him for actually giving it a good shot and getting up there. But yeah, this game actually had defensively was quite physical in this matchup, which was quite fun to watch. Although some of it was a bit, well, as you can tell by a couple of cards here, going a bit the wrong sort of side of it. But it's good to see the physicality still in the game. But I do wonder how long it is until Tane Edmund's going to get a really, really bad injury, because good God, his body takes an absolute thrashing every single weekend that he goes out there. So, yeah, well played, Waratahs. They're a team that I think if they just had 10% more, not only in not in quality wise, but just in their continuity, they would actually be toppling teams off. I think they're really close to being a really good side.
I think they're really good attacking. They're really good, but I think that they need to get more connectivity, need to sort their defense out. They're the third leakiest team in the tournament. They just allow too many points. So I think
who doesn't shut down the Chiefs though? Like everyone concedes against the Chiefs.
Oh no, I'm not just talking about the Chiefs. I'm talking about, as I say, they've not this game, but across the entire season, they've let in the third most points. Right. The other teams that are worse are Moana Pacifica and the Melbourne Rebels. They're the only two teams that are letting more points than the Tars, and that's why they're down in second from last. Is because they can score, and they've got exciting young players, but they haven't got that connectivity, that defensive game plan where they're all defending together. I think that's more a problem than anything else. Is they haven't got that there, and they need to work on that one. But look, they had 4 leads in bonus points from their 7 games. Right, most of their games have been close, but that's because they can score, as I said, and then they're happy. Yep. They're happy scoring, but you don't win many games by going, we'll score more than you, just having outright scoring contests. The referee also had plenty to say in this game with 25 penalties between the two of them. But again, that comes back to the physicality you were talking about on defense there. But look, there are worse things you can say than being, hey, you're an enjoyable team to watch for the Tars. But I think it's actually a good thing considering their market. And that's the type of rugby we should be kind of encouraging and wanting to encourage people to come and watch the games. So great on them. Tars missing 8 front rowers. Nocturnal Rights reckons, well, hey, the fact that they're missing 8 front rowers and only lost 2 scrums out of it. Only lost 2 scrums on that night shows that look, they've got depth. They're going well. They're a well coached team that's going some places. On that one. Moving on then, I guess the game over in Fiji, the Drua versus Moana Pacifica. I think this is something. If anything, I guess just the scoreline was closer than we expected. In fact, it was 24-17, so there's only one try in it. But I think we all expected this. Look, fun rugby to watch. Some great some fun long range tries. 17-0 at half time. Maybe the Drua took the foot off the pedal a little bit. And we saw the Moana come back, but I think it was a bit more. Apart from a late comeback, this was a more comfortable win than perhaps the numbers allow. And I think that perhaps a lack of killer instinct from the Drua.
Yeah, no, this was a really good comeback from Moana in this game. The scoreline was 24 points to 5 at what was about the 70th minute of the game. So a really, really sure 2 tries gets you to where you are. So it's not like 40-point turnaround or anything like that. But to go from being shut out for 70 minutes to score just 5 points, and then to literally get twice as much as that in the last 10 minutes and make it into a 1-score game, made that last few minutes of the game actually quite testy. And it put a lot of pressure on the Drua, who were, you're right, they got out to a good lead and they were just cruising along. They were happy. They thought they had done enough. And it so quickly can turn around, especially when, you'd think 24-5 is a fairly comfortable lead, but, you can see 7.
It's a massive lead.
Hey, wait till we get to that Blues game. 21 points in 10 minutes. Like, it's not. These days, it's not. 20-point lead is not enough. It is not enough in this competition at all. It's not enough to sit off. It's not enough to just kick the ball away when you've got teams that have got such good counter-attacking abilities, experienced players. And this is, one of your worst teams defensively. The Drua should be looking at this and going, hey, we want to stack 40 points on these guys. Are we contenders? Are we top 8 contenders? Are we top 6 contenders? This is a team that's been smoked left, right, and center. This is our backyard. No one wins here. I think they actually got a bit of pressure on and thought, holy crap, what do we do? They were just kind of lost their marbles a bit and didn't expect for Moana to come back that well. So I lump, sure, to go 70 minutes and not score, you have to look at it back and go, okay, we've gone wrong here from a Moana side of things, right? But the fact that they didn't give that one up, they fought right to the end and got themselves in a position to get a bonus point for one, great work. And to compete that you're almost going like, good God, we're going to have another bonus point or golden point game. Was almost exciting enough as it was. But yeah, just to have that impact. And when you're coming off the bench and you're seeing your team down by 19 points, to be able to still lift and commit and, not just go on and just go through the motions, I think is a great plus for the Moana Pacifica side to go through. And it's put a bit of a test on the Drua, which, to be fair, sure, they've been tested throughout the season, but in a sort of situation like that, it's a little bit different to them because they normally don't really cruise. And a side note, I love Christian Lealiifano, but I think it's time to hang up the boots, my friend. Become a coach. He's a great player. I love the guy, don't get me wrong. His story, his journey, his career, so good. But a guy like that, you want to walk away on your own terms. And I just feel like he's kind of getting to the point of his career where I fear he's not going to be able to walk away on his own terms. Instead of being like, hey, this is my last game. I'm retiring from professional rugby. It's going to be like, I've got nowhere else to go, so I'm going to retire, which is kind of sad. I don't want that for him. I just feel like he's at that kind of place now where he kind of like, you have that expectation on him that he's going to deliver you kicks. He's going to deliver at that Brumbies level. And he's nowhere near that. I would like to see him go out on his own terms. That's what I'm kind of saying for him. And I think he's kind of at the end of his road, sadly.
Yeah, I don't know if William Havili is
injured.
Oh, yeah, he started, right?
Yeah, he's injured. He got injured in the game. Don't know how long he's out.
Yeah, that's the big. I think they are trying to hand over. Look, William Havili got the start. Lealiifano came off the bench. I think they are trying to hand it over to Havili, and that he's there being the mentor and helping him. So I think they're perhaps going the right way about it. But as you say, maybe it's because they don't have the kind of they don't have the depth to have extra other players there from that point of view.
It's just sad when you see him get absolutely smoked, just like he gets not only power game, he just gets bulldozed, and then one of the tries he just got, it wasn't even close. Like the guy wasn't even sprinting to the corner, he just outpaced him. And it's like, come on, man. It's like, I want you to have your moment. Because he's such a legendary player. That's what I want for him. Havili's their future, right? Internationally, and for Moana. He's a quality player that's hasn't had that traditional process through the ranks either. He's kind of gone straight to the top and had a lot of pressure dumped on him, and he's kind of dealing with it. So I think he's a guy worth sticking to.
So I know. So yeah. I mean, seeing how it's a problem for Moana kind of sense. Where do they go? Havili is hit and miss. Look, I mean, Havili is 25. He's had 14 caps for Tasman. He's had 15 caps for Tonga. He's played more for Tonga, more international level than he has at NPC. And he's not had that base that a lot of New Zealand players will have. And so it's been a bit of you say he's had to learn it in the pressure cooker at the top level, and he's going to be a bit a bit hit and miss when he's only played 62 games international. It's 62 professional games, which isn't very many, really. When you're talking about that, that's NPC and Super and Tonga. So yeah, he is having to learn at that top level. But I think he is the future. I think they have to stick with him there. especially having given up on the other guy. I've gone blank. The guy from Hawke's Bay that they had, who wasn't actually, who was
McClutchy.
McClutchy, thank you. They've got to stick with Havili in that one. But the problem is you can't just have one fly half. You have to have at least a couple of them because they do tend to get injured and also they need a rest.
Well, they have 5. They have D'Angelo Leoa as well, who's represented Samoa. They've got Otumaka Malsia, who's a 27-year-old Tongan as well, Liliafano, and Havili. So they got 4 through their squad. I mean, D'Angelo Leoa is not a bad player. A very versatile sort of player, I guess. Can play more, not a standard sort of fly half, but still, the players are there. I think Riley Hohipper might be looking for a team next season.
Look, Hohipper is a good NPC player, but he's not international. He's not Super Rugby class. I'm sorry, but D'Angelo. I thought D'Angelo's down as a midfielder. But again, D'Angelo,
he's versatile.
Yeah, again, he's an Auckland club player at the moment. Really, has played like 5 games for Auckland, 21 for Waikato. He's only played 26 sort of NPC games again as well. So he's a young guy coming through. He's 20. Well, actually, a young guy. He's 27. He's older than William. But he's just not had
internationally capped.
He is true. But he's not. He doesn't have that base of NPC games. That means that actually. He's a fantastic player at Auckland club level. Don't get me wrong. Loved watching him there. Mount Eden, I think it was. I think Eden was his was his club that he was playing for. But yeah, get to this level. He's not had that time at NPC to really again to have the grounding to make the step up there.
I know the answer. Next season. It's time to get the checkbook out, right?
Oh,
Michael Jones, whoever, bring Lema Sopawanga home. Oh, wouldn't that be perfect? Sopawanga back. I mean, prime. How good would that be? Perfect.
And look, he's had enough stand down from the All Blacks.
He's declared, hasn't he?
Sorry?
For Samoa. He's declared for Samoa. He's played for Samoa. Remember, he lost his kicking tee at the World Cup.
Oh, he did. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So he's internationally kept. Jacob Umaga, yeah, that's a good shout. Hasn't he declared as well? Didn't he reject England?
The reason I was going to say was that a bunch of Lima's, was it Lima Sopawanga? No. Maybe
No,
I'm trying to think who it was who's with the Cook Islands, and basically all his brothers to play for the Cook Islands, and he turned up as a coach for them for the clash. And I was I did it as media at they played at so I saw the game live in Pocono Stadium, County Manukau Stadium, when they had a World Cup qualifier a couple of years ago now, or back in 2019. And I've gone blank as to who it was, but it was kind of it was someone like Lima or
Tupo Sopawanga plays as flanker for Cook Islands in their current squad.
There you go. So it was Lima Sopawanga. He turned up kind of like as a water boy, kind of come coach for that game, and his brothers were all playing for the Cook Islands in that game, which they lost. But
Ezekiel Sopawanga as a prop. Tupo Sopawanga as a captain, as a flanker. Toka Sopawanga as a scrum half. Holy crap! Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, there you go. Wow, family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 brothers all play for that one. Somebody here says you're on the right track. It was the World Cup qualifiers for 2023. I guess it was. Okay, 2023. Sorry, you're right. I'm getting all my years mixed up. But it was a game. It was at Counties Manukau, Pocono, where I got to be the. I got to come along and do a couple of interviews and stuff there. It was a fun day, even though they did lose. To some, was it Smo or Tom? I think Smo it was. Anyway, I'm from memory. Anyway, but there we go.
I love these off-topic rants, man.
Sorry?
Best part of the show. These off-topic rants are the best part of the show. I love these rabbit holes are the best part. Who knew that the Sopawangas had a gang playing for the Cook Islands? So good.
Oh dear. So where are we at then? Brumbies home with Hurricanes that I picked. Lolosio. What was he's look at a winger dive in the corner. Brilliant. I mean, that's there. So yeah, looks at and that's what fly half's supposed to be doing. Went out to a 24-5 lead just with Numia and pull it back to a 24-12 at half time. But yeah, good lead by it's a great start by the Brumbies to get out there and started quickly, which is one of the things you want to do. You do not want to get yourself behind against Hurricanes in their current form. And then the second half much quieter. Only 10 points in the second half, which is after a 36-point first half. Boy, oh boy, yeah, the teams both all tightened up on defence from that point of view. I think that's got to be a good sign for the Brumbies. They can get ahead and actually and then go, you know what, we're shutting this game down. So which I think was a great was a good one. Did the Brumbies preserve themselves from injury against the Blues sandwich Hurricanes? No. They got blitzed by the Blues. Couldn't cope with the forward pressure, and because the Blues are one of the best sides that just literally just one out, charge it up, one out, charge it up, one out, charge it up at you, and just couldn't cope with the forward runners in that game away from home. But at home, let's be honest, Canberra is cold as. It's not a warm place to play rugby. Canberra's a very cold place. Look, if it wasn't the fact they were trying to build a capital somewhere that wasn't Sydney, no one would live there. It's not a very hospitable place for people from that point of view. But so yeah, cracking game. Look, kept the ball in hand. Yes, it was a daytime match. That doesn't make any. It's not going to be cold. But where are we at anyway? But yeah, look, kept the ball in hand a lot and went for a possession kind of style rugby as well, particularly in that second half, which just went, if you haven't got the ball, you can't score points against us. We're going to shut the game down. So really well played by the Brumbies, and loving to seeing Lolosio really having come of age as a 10 this year.
Hey, you know what? You talk about his way of scoring a try, but the difference was in this game is goal kicking. And that's a massively pivotal part of any team's game plan. But look, a couple of things from this game. Alatoa back from another injury. Good to see him back and back playing again. So that was always a positive for me, seeing him. But Stephen Harris has just stolen my point I was going to make about, not my point about him rejecting the Blues, but just the fact that he was a really impactful guy that I've not seen much of in this Brumbies lineup. And yes.
Sorry, for those on the podcast and the audio rather than video, Stephen and Cornflake are talking about Tamati Tau.
Yes, and Stephen is saying that his decision not to sign for Blues last year has paid big dividends. Getting game time, he wouldn't have gotten the Blues. Yeah, massively, but good player. Really good player. Showed good ability to break a tackle, good speed and acceleration off the mark as well. And I think he kind of stunned that Hurricanes team in that first half. Just what they probably didn't expect, or a bit of an unknown factor that he brought into that midfield. So really, really strong from him. But look, overall, this game for me, yeah, fast start, really, really good. Couple of good tries. Hurricanes would have been, I don't think they would have been too upset. I don't think they would have been too concerned about getting back into this game. But the big winning it for me in that second 40 was just the ability of the Brumbies to shut the Hurricanes out. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised looking at the stats in this game. Because watching it, I don't read stats watching a game. I normally look at them when I do this show just to see if they kind of align with my thinking. And this game doesn't align with my thinking, because I think the Brumbies did really well in shutting out a number of opportunities that the Hurricanes, I think, typically would have taken in past, the season gone by. So defensively really sound, but boy, the Hurricanes did a lot of work in defense, didn't they? Over 220 tackles is incredible for the Hurricanes, and they were the team chasing the game. So like you said, the ability to hold on to the ball and shut the team chasing the game out of it, rather than trying to pin them down and leading the team that knows how to run an attack 60, 80 meters out from the try line. They'll do that, the Hurricanes. Instead, just don't let them have it. It's like, my ball, lights out, I'm going home. That's kind of the rugby that they played, and boy, they executed it perfectly. And compared to last week, it wasn't raining. I mean, that's all I've got to say. It's clear the Brumbies don't like the rain. They turned up to Auckland. They're like, oh, what's this drizzly crap? Oh, no, I want a part of this. Back in Canberra, it's like, oh, sunny afternoon, dry underfoot, beautiful afternoon. Oh, picnics would have been in the stands, the barbecues would have been going. Oh, they would have been loved it. They were just, this is it. This is it for me. Don't worry about that crappy Auckland place. I'm back home. Great performance from the Brumbies, but yeah, Lolosio for me. His time in France has really matured him. He's very calm and takes on pressure really, really well, which for Australian rugby as well is a hugely great sign, because there's a lot of guys chomping at his heels. But I think just the way he's matured over the last 12 months is massive for his game and for Australian rugby. So well played, Brumbies. I mean, I didn't want the Hurricanes to lose because I liked them at the top of the table. But boy, I think the Brumbies, last week was a bit of an outlier. It was rainy, it was wet. They didn't want to play rugby. So I scrapped that one completely. This week it was back to the Brumbies, we know. And they're good. They're real good.
Yeah, look, I mean, the combo in the second half, the Brumbies 68% possession. I mean, if you just and look, yep. And they didn't do that just running from their own half. 63% territory. They did it in the right area of the pitch as well. So right, we're having the ball down your end. You good luck coming with this one. Hearing Tua might evoke his out clause with the Tony Farr. Has he signed on as Joe Smith? Oh, is he on Joe Smith's radar? Well, it's after that kind of game. So it is only one game. And look, I did think that some of the Hurricanes, look, if you try and tackle with your arm against the guy, which I thought was some lazy tackling against him as well. Look, you've got to try and get your body in, the shoulder in. You can't be just putting your arm out, particularly for his try there on that one. So look, if they are looking for someone as a backup for maybe a Hunter Paisami in that role as a power runner at 12, why not? As a first choice into the Wallabies, too soon for him. But as a come into the squad, see if you can be the backup for maybe even third backup for the 12 jersey. Why not on that one?
What I've got a problem with at the moment, Australian rugby is really good, right? We're seeing all these bright young talents, especially in the outside backs. We'll talk about one later as well. But I'm kind of getting a bit worried now that all the coaches and the fans, they're like, oh, this guy, he got a hat trick. Darby Lancaster, whoa, he blitzed the Highlanders, join the queue. But the Wallabies, it's like, whoa. Okay, let's just do it more than once, okay? I like a good season, right? Do it for the season. Now, let's start next season and keep that level up, keep that performance up into your second year. And then let's talk about, okay, get comfortable there, right? These guys come in and they blitz it. You're coming in now with 5 rounds to go, right? The guy that debuted for the Reds, can't remember his name off the top of my head. Great performance, electric guy, brilliant player. But let's see him do it. Okay, if he plays 5 games the rest of the season, then goes straight to the Wallabies, that's such a rapid rise. How rapid is the fall going to be if things don't go right? Okay, it's going to be, I think, very different playing for the Reds in Super Rugby or the Brumbies or whatever, the Rebels against the Highlanders. Let's be honest, it's very different when you come up against the Springboks in anywhere in South Africa. So I would like to see these guys get a bit more time. It's exciting. I'm excited for them. I love watching them. But let's not rush them, okay? Let's give them a bit of time, give them a bit of match next year if they're still performing, and then build your way into that squad. I think there's enough experienced talent, especially while you still got Nwangani Tawazi. He was clearly bulking for leg. Holy hell, have you seen that guy? He looks like an absolute brick house now. It's crazy. Clearly, the dietary plan from the NRL's come in, and it's like lots of eggs and chicken. But yeah, like they've got the guys there. You're right, and the Brumbies, guys like that. So, blend them in. Let's not get too excited and just rush in head first and watch these guys fall over as quickly as they rise up.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Ryan's the guy you're talking about at the Reds. But I mean, Jordan Pataya is an example of that, right? Came on 2019 Rugby World Cup. Everyone's like, wow, the wonder kid, he's going to go well. And then we've hardly seen him since then. And So yeah, give them time to develop. Don't try and throw them in too quickly. I mean, Ratamuti Neepkins is another one of those. From a New Zealand point of view, he should not be anywhere near the All Blacks squad this year. Maybe the All Blacks 11. Oh, sorry, the All Blacks 15. Not All Blacks 11. Not playing fucking football. Jesus. Anyway,
put him at striker. He'll be good.
The All Blacks 15. Sorry. But let him have another season at MPC. Let him get lots more game time under his belt, rather than rushing him through.
Patara is like clockwork, man. Every time he reaches the peak of his form, he just breaks. I'm kind of almost feeling sorry for him, and he's Australian, which is really against my character. But to get so good and to do all that hard work and to get back up and be like, wow, he's back. Our chosen son is back for the Wallabies. And then next minute, broken 6 months.
Being an Englishman and having Manu Tuolangi being that person where you're kind of always dreaming of, let's build a game plan around this guy who's never fit. No, don't do that.
It's a shame. It's sad.
Wonderful player when he's fit, but unfortunately, just has never met
skill set
that way.
Out of the world.
But talking of goal kicking, let's go. One of the things I was going to talk about, Rivers Reihana for the Crusaders. He was like, Reihana's here. Look at the Crusaders playing well. He missed his first 3 kicks. It took him until the second half to actually kick one over. Now, in that game, it didn't matter. In other games, it will. So, look, again, young guy, very, very little experience at Super Rugby. Give him time, but he will have those kind of kicking days until he gets used to the pressure, gets used to playing in that environment.
Brett Cameron, All Black 10.
But if Reihana is anywhere near the All Black squad, then there's some problems, I'm afraid.
Do you think it's concerning for like All Black perspective, quickly, that now teams are really starting to target Damien McKenzie and it is really shutting down his game? Like how easily over 11 weeks, 10 weeks, every team plays is really like shutting him down. Like his effectiveness in rounds 1 to 5 to 8 to 11 or whatever has gone from really effective, incredible, oh, he's the savior of New Zealand rugby, to do we even talk about him anymore? Like, we just talked about that Chiefs game. I didn't mention because he got smashed, he got smoked, he ran sideways, and it wasn't. This is why I don't like him, because once you figure him out, and let's be honest, England are watching, Australia, they're already watching, South Africa, geez, they never stop watching anyone. Look, minute 1, first test match, that game plan, Ben Earl's going to be taking his head off. I just don't like him. I want a solid, just simple number 10. At this stage, I take just a guy who's going to take the ball in and distribute and make calm decisions at my number 10, Brett Cameron.
Look, no problems with a DMAC and the team then targeting him, but you use it then to create space elsewhere. Don't run it through him. Put him on the blind side as first receiver, put a different first receiver on the open side, and make them give them different shapes to think about. Don't put him in the firing line when you know that's what's coming. We're over an hour. We're not even halfway through the games yet.
We only got 2 left. What are you on about?
Have we? Oh yes, there you go.
Yeah. That's a 3-hour show. What are you on about?
I've not had enough beers today.
Got till midnight.
I've gone till midnight. So now then, the most exciting game of the weekend.
100%. McKenzie's a disaster. Throw him in the bin.
What went? Oh, Dave McKenzie.
I'm just reading Nocturnal's comment saying that McKenzie starting last year in Dunedin was almost a disaster. McKenzie wearing a shirt of number 10 on it. I don't care if he's down at the local Waikato New World buying a loaf of bread with Lionel Messi's shirt on it with 10 on the back. It's a disaster, okay? Get him out of here. No, there's not daylight. Brett Cameron is right there. He's my man. He is my man. And
oh dear. We'll see.
Him and Reece Patchell.
And look, Reece Patchell was a lot better than you were expecting him to be when he actually turned up. Now, unfortunately, he lasted about 3 games, but he was better than you expected. Let's be honest. Anyway, Mackenzie plays like Bowden when he first started. So
I don't like
Highlanders-
Bowden at 10 either. Look, yeah, but I'm going on a rampage here. Bowden, I don't like a 10. I don't like a 10 that takes a ball, shuffles forward sideways, and then gives to a guy in a worse position than him. And when Bowden Barrett's not on form, that's what he does. And not on form is pretty much like 85% of his game time. That's all. Sorry.
Oh dear. It looks all right. Points for trying for Force Highlanders. Yeah,
4 points, man. 4 points.
Yeah, it was just 4 points. Turnovers conceded 20 by each of the teams. Not in total. A total of 40 turnovers in this game. 1 every 2 minutes. Okay. When you think there's actually only about 40 or 50 minutes of game time, that's more than a turnover a minute of actual game time in these games. I mean, that's just nuts. I mean, it just hot potato. Here, have the ball, please. Because the water's obviously contaminated down in the deep south.
Hey, Mackenzie's from here. Hey, he's our player. We can bag him. He's a Southlander. Come on. Don't go stealing our players. You steal all the other good players. No.
See, we don't want Damien McKenzie. We want Marty McKenzie.
Marty. Yes.
Get Marty up there.
Get the Martys. Banks and McKenzie. There's your 10s. Stop taking off track, Harris.
So look, this do I have to this game? I mean, seriously, yeah. Well done, the Highlanders. You managed to get across the line. Force, a couple of penalties. At least they weren't nilled. And they didn't. And one missed penalty could have been the difference. He could have actually won this game. But Southern Hemisphere people tend to moan about the kind of pragmatic game style of Premiership games or in the UK. But let's look. This was. No one's going to go back and watch this one again.
I might just to relive the good days of a victory. They've been few and far between this season, Look, it wasn't a great watch. I think it was about the 5th lowest scoring Super Rugby game of all time. Was kind
of like a, oh shit, I've not been tackled properly, I'll fall over the line. I mean, that was, even the try wasn't very good.
The build up to the try was good though. How they got there. But how often have we seen the Highlanders? It's been their season, right? Where they actually, before they reach the team's 22, they're actually really good. So like in their own half, they play all right. When they get, halfway to 22 in the opposition half, they actually do stuff. And they get near that white line and it's just like, they don't know what the substance is, but they're scared of it. And they want to call the police or something. I don't really know. But it just all goes to absolute marbles there. And the fact that they scored that try was a bit of a miracle in itself because they had a fair number of the big lads have a go at it. And somehow Fakatava, I don't know, a bit of grease lightning in his hair or something to even get to that sort of position.
The guy comes offside, so he's got penalty advantage. Offside grabs him. All the other players go, oh, he's been grabbed. We can look at where's he going to pass it to, and then he just rolls kind of with that tackle and scores. I mean, it was appalling. It wasn't even.
It's the Highlanders. I mean that is as good as it gets. Forever for them. Now, look, positives. Tavatava Naiwai beat defenders. I was like, wow, he's actually. And hey, let's credit Armour as well. Beat defenders again. 2 matches in a row. He's actually looked like a competent guy we saw last season. So is Tavatava Naiwai finally doing a little bit in there as well. That was good. Petrol was good till he broke. Someone said that in the comments before as well. I 100% agree. Nocturnal. He was looking really, really good. I think he brings a lot of calmness around the Highlanders and experience, which they don't have. Guys like Dunshay back in that pack. Sure. Maybe it's not helped scoring points, but it certainly helped conceding points because normally the Highlanders are chasing a game at least 15, if not 20, 25, 30 points behind into the last 20 minutes of the game. Another positive, they scored points before the 60-minute mark. Brilliant. So, I mean, there's a lot to be positive about. Defense, very good. Scored a try, very good. Tackle percentage was 95. Very good. Scrums were a concern. But hey, I mean,
A
We got
concern?
the win. It was above 500. Well, not above. It was 500. Look, these
Quite
two teams
literally,
are very
their
similar.
own put-in at the scrum was a coin flip. Their own put-in. A coin flip. No, it's not supposed to be a coin flip. Jesus, it was awful. Look, the
I'll
Highlanders have
try
got
and
a
look some
problem.
other highlights.
The Highlanders have got a problem scoring points. The Highlanders have scored less points than anybody else this season. Right? They've scored less than Moana. They've scored less than the Western Force. They really have got a problem scoring points. So hence why, they have to have the best defense in the world for them to win a game at the moment.
Case in point.
And so hence, this week it came off against the worst team in the competition, or against the bottom team in the competition rather than the worst team. I suppose let's not be too harsh against them. So look, it's a win. There's not much more the Highlanders can take from it. The Hurricane, the Force,
Crusaders,
a losing bonus point on the road is good for them. At the end of the day, well done. They got a good lose. It's points in the bag, and on the road they're not the best team in the world. So hence, there we go.
we know teams hate playing in Forsyth Bar. And I still to my day, it puzzles me as to why. I remember sitting and watching the World Cup games when Johnny Wilkinson couldn't hit the side of a barn inside of Roof Stadium. We've seen so many high quality. I mean, it's not just the goal kickers, but there's just something about that stadium that what you expect when you watch it, like the commentary team, throw them in the fire as well. But it's under the roof, it's going in great conditions. It clearly isn't, right? It's horrifically cold. That game would have been played in probably being that close, pretty much on the shore, on the port. I mean, with the wind, it would have been 6 degrees in town, so it was probably 3 or 4 degrees. It would have been horrifically cold. The wind gales through there. The Western Force coming from Perth, remember, certainly would have hated that. Definitely would have hated it. So, hey, I mean, you got to take the victories you can take.
Put my hoodie on.
I tell you what, it's been bloody freezing down here at nights. And I tell you what, that stadium, when it's a nice day, is freezing. That wind gushes through there.
Yeah, no, it would be cold.
Or not. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on then. Where it wouldn't have been cold, over in Brisbane for the Reds versus the Blues.
The rugby was hot.
The in that one, I mean, nearly 80 points scored. So yes, absolutely, rugby was hot in this one. How the Blues managed to actually win a game with Harry Plummer at 10 is amazing. Well done, Harry Plummer, because geez, boy oh boy, that's he is not a backup 10 at this level. Sorry, but hey, there we go. I guess they're not down to the same level as the Crusaders with how many fly halves have got to head out, but seriously, why they're having to drop is not it's not who he'd want to really be there. With this one, I'm not sure I've seen this one. I think I've forgotten about this game entirely and just didn't bother with it. I don't know why.
It's the best game of the weekend.
Suddenly I can't remember. I can't remember anything from it. Somehow I missed this one and just forgot it existed. So go on, take us. What happened?
If you want a nutshell,
the Blues went out to a good lead.
Yes,
got a couple of scores early on, even though that Harry Plummer couldn't hit the side of a barn with 3 missed kicks in the first 20 minutes. The Reds got back in touch with a converted try. Bryce Heem decided to went off the yellow card. No idea why. And a Harry Plummer penalty meant that they led at 7-13 at half time. So the Blues managed to get up, but misconversions, yellow card. They should have done better in that first half.
The first half was a bit of a droughter. It wasn't great. The second half was where all the action was in this one, definitely, as it blew through. But the thing that worries me about this game is the Reds are becoming really hard to predict. And it's not good when you're trying to do a tipping league, all right? It's really difficult because you don't know what Reds are going to show up. And geez, they can be so incredibly good. But at the same time, defensively, Laps is average. Vunivalu butchered it's such easy try very early on that I think would have been the opening try of the game. Or possibly it could have happened around the first try from the Blues. And it literally just it didn't put it down. And it just, that guy is a concern for me. With all these young guys coming around, I would sit here, I would sit here and look, ditch Vunivalu and give a young guy a shot because I don't like him.
Yeah, I know the money that Vunivalu is on. Jesus Christ, he has not been a good investment.
Yes.
What I was going to say actually was going back to the Highlanders game. I forgot about 7-7 our way. Real close try with his chip and chase and stepping on the line. I was like, oh yes. So 7-7 our way. It's like, coming into some form and actually getting settled into his new team. Great to see, and lovely individual effort there. To the rare shining light along with Rasmussen Neatkins in that Highlanders side. But anyway, coming back to this one then. But Vunivalu did get a try, and then Ryan decided to step in and make it his game in that second half. Except for the fact they didn't win. No, but Stephen Harris, he's pulled up in our rugby chat, put in the clip of Ryan jumping over a player and then stepping a player and just playing with just enjoying running with the ball, which is great to see. But unlike in the Drew's game, where the winger running with the ball and you're kind of like, mate, pass, you're going to get tackled by the fullback. There's three of it. It's 3-on-1, and you take contact. It's like, what the f are you doing? Whereas Ryan, there weren't easy options for him to give it to. It wasn't kind of selfish play in that kind of same way that I saw that in the Drew game. I'm like, come on, two guys. Luckily, he managed to pass off the floor, so it was okay. But I'm hoping I'm getting the right team. But there was one of those players where you're doing that, whereas Ryan's runs didn't seem to have that kind of selfishness about it.
Well, he's just rapid though. That's the thing he's got on the side. He outpaces pretty much anyone on the paddock. And that try he talked about too was a blindside play off a scrum, and they took it in. The scrum half took it into contact, which I forgot his name, but Kalani Thomas, yeah, really, really good talent. You think you lost McDermott, you're going to lose something. Thomas is really reveling in that opportunity start at 9. He took it down the blind with Ryan, who running out of room, step back inside, try to go nearer to the forwards, which again, you'd say, yeah, smart move. And then went back outside, jumping over a missed tackle. And then it's just pace. It's just out and out pace, which is, I reckon it's rare now. Like, guys go for the builds, they go for the power. They go to try and bulldoze, the Caleb Clark sort of builds. The tide seems to be turning back to now, okay, if you can smoke a guy, you're all clear. You don't need to worry about it. Was the other half of the band here?
Not quite sure what's going on with that one. But
no. What are you trying to say?
But Australia are kind of breeding, because I mean, Tool at the Brumbies again, rapid.
Yes,
pace. They're leaning into their
Lancaster, a sevens guy, rapid.
Yeah, they're leaning into their sevens and bring them in well. Whereas New Zealand doesn't seem to. That development pathway through sevens seems to have stopped. I know that Akiri and Rico Iwani came through there. But I'm trying to think who else has come through recently. Rasmussen Neatkins is coming that kind of way. I think he's an ex-sevens player. But it's there's that pipeline, or that's pipeline. Is that the right word? Yeah, I think it is. Has conveyor belt has kind of stopped of talent.
Yeah, of players like that, definitely. Yeah, that is definitely the way to go. I'm trying to find that guy's name that come on. Louis Workon. Yeah, what's the guy with the big flowing locks, the big blondie locks? And when he got smashed, his hair goes. He's one of those pricks that you look at and go, great. He's a professional rugby player. He's got nice hair. Scumbag. But yeah, just the like you talked about players making bad decisions. It's IQ, right? And it's just knowing what's around you and who's around you and where your options are and what is the best choice to make. Like it's all well good to take it on yourself, but if you can't guarantee, if you're running towards a corner with 4 players cutting you off, are you going to retain that ball if you don't have support? There are better options to take some other way, go back towards your support, things like that. So he looks like he's got a bit of a brain on him. But again, one game, brilliant. Lancaster did it. Now Ryan's doing it. Tool's been doing it this year. I like them. They're exciting. They're fun. Take Vunivalu back to league. We don't need him in Australia anymore. Just cancel, get that contract and just go rip it up. Take the money back. You'll be in profit, Rugby Australia. You don't need him. Throw him away. It's a waste of money. Look, there was a big thing about the high balls and the crossfield kicks and all that. I mean, it's not even it. Look, that era of rugby's kind of gone with the big wingers, right? We still do the crossfield kicks, but it's just not. It's prevalent. I don't think this year.
And people know about it. But look, the Reds trailing at half time by 6 points, came back to lead 34-27 with 6 minutes to go, and they're thinking, we've got this one, surely. No, Eklund gets a try. Harry Potter has his not Harry Potter. Harry Plummer, sorry. Harry Potter, Jesus Christ.
Too late.
Yeah, we need to back out quick before I collapse. Plummer has his kicker boots on, makes the conversion, and then Sam Knock, after the boot has gone. One of the things about this Blues team at the moment is they have belief. At the end of the day, they've got players, and they know, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold on to it, one up, bang, 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 and let our big boys do the running. So I've already said I didn't see this game, but I'm guessing that's how they got Sam Knock somewhere near the try line to score. But do they use their forwards at the end there just to possession rugby? And the belief is in this Blues team at the moment.
That last try was helter-skelter, throw the ball around, everyone running from distance, don't let the ball die, and just go crazy. There's
my composure thing out the window.
It was goal. Well, it wasn't okay. It wasn't that bad. It was semi-controlled, but it was very much like the game completely lost structure. Right, everyone was making line breaks. The Reds looked like they were going to score at the end, and they lost it, and the Blues were breaking the line. When it gets to that point where it's just like no one really wants to go to Golden Point, so we'll just park defence out of the paddock. And you ever go and wherever go, and we'll see who wins. It was the structure from, especially like the first half where it was very defensive, and that was gone. That Cole Forbes had a very big impact for when playing it as well. He was quite good. Caleb Clark, he was the one that eventually created most of it down the wing, and it was his pass was the last pass inside. So yeah, I mean it was a good open field sort of try. It wasn't a boring try where they structurally broke it down. No, they went bananas. And yeah, it kind of like. You're kind of like, well, someone's going to bugger this up and it's going to knock it on and we'll go to extra time. But, hey, they managed to pull it off. Well done, sadly.
Right then, let's look forward to next weekend and let's have some tips. Hurricanes versus the Waratahs in Wellington. Hurricanes all day long in that one. I'm sorry.
Sorry, 2%. I can't join you.
The 2%. I'm going to put that out to 14 points as my point margin as well for that one. It's the one that has a point margin this week. Melbourne Rebels hosting the Blues. Now, look, only 2% have gone with the Rebels, but I think is a bit harsh on this one. But you've got to back the Blues here. They are second in the table for a good reason. And I say that top four, I think, has got a gap on the others. So hence... Blues away to the Rebels there, but I think the Rebels are better than 2%.
Oh yeah, that's what sucks about this tipper thing is, if you're going to give them a percentage, you'd probably give them a 30, 35 maybe % chance of winning this game. Definitely a lot more than 2, but I guess the way the Blues have been playing, they are hard to beat. And you're right, that forward structure they have, they just wind teams down with that ground and pound style. So. Rebels at home, I give them a bit of a chance, but Blues should take that one, sadly.
Moana against Highlanders in Tonga. Mm-hmm. I'm going for Moana here in this one.
Yeah.
That's really.
Me too.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. Look, we hardly beat them in Dunedin. What was it? 7 points or 4 points? It was around a try. And have we improved? No. Have they improved? Well. Yeah, probably more than the Highlanders have improved since then, to be fair. Now we're on the road. Tonga. If this was maybe in Auckland, like say like Mount Smart or wherever the hell they decide to play, I'd probably give the Highlanders more shot. But again, like we talked about at the start, hopefully we get a massive crowd. Hopefully we get a noisy crowd. Hopefully Moana get a lot of massive support. It boosts them. And yeah, screw it, man. I want to see a Moana win in Tonga. Go for it.
So 67% saying Highlanders currently on the pickers. Crusaders versus the Reds at home in down there in Christchurch. I'm going to go Crusaders. That's you're going Reds.
I'm going Reds. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Especially after against the Blues. Look, the Crusaders look good against the Rebels, but I do agree that they're far from, the world beaters. And look, was that an outlier? Are they good? I don't know, but I'm nudging the Reds on this one. Rally up, my 25% boys. Let's go.
We'll see. The next two I think are obvious. Chiefs, Western Force, Chiefs at home, and the Brumbies versus the Drew at home. Brumbies. On those two there. So a couple here. So basically, Moana, Highlanders, and Crusaders Reds are the two that are two worth what the two that I think are going to be the closest. The other four, I think, are pretty easy picks for this weekend. So we'll see how the TAB doesn't have odds yet. So we'll see how my multi goes. But
Did you win last weekend?
I didn't put a bloody bet on, but I did pick them all right. Anyway, it would have been yes.
Unbelievable.
Anyway,
$6.
I know. Thank you everybody for joining us. Don't forget we're back next Monday at 8 p.m. So do stay safe, enjoy your rugby, and catch you all then.